When we say the easiest way for you to have non-resistant thought is to get out ahead of it. Oh, we'll say it to you even in a more blunt way. The easiest way for you to have non-resistant thought is to hang out with a new person that you don't know. The less you know about them, the less resistant thought is within you. Oh, you're a stranger. I love you. Oh, you killed your entire family? Ah. We're just playing with you a little bit here, but we want you to, just for a moment, try to feel the power of this non-resistant thought. So we've been saying recently, what you want to do is get out ahead of it. You want to get out ahead of your thoughts. And people want to get out ahead of it. They just don't know what that means. And we gave one example already. Segment intending means I'm in a new segment. New people just walked into the room. And do you know that our segment just changed? Because they have no idea what we've been talking about. And so the energy of the room has just shifted. Now, not a problem to all of us because we're in the vortex, yes? We're in that empowerment. Might be a little while for them to catch up with it, but the segment did just shift, and therefore you are going to notice a little repetition that you wouldn't have noticed before had new people not walked into the room. Following what we're getting at? Getting out ahead of it. Don't want confusion on the part of those that haven't been here. So when you get into your automobile, it's a new segment. When a new person joins you at the dinner table, a new segment begins. And if you will take just a moment, we're talking about a few seconds to acknowledge new segment and what I intend is. Because if you get out ahead of it, what I intend is to have fun. If you're out ahead of it, even though somebody who joined your dinner table who was in a bad mood and wasn't planning on having any fun, if you got out ahead of it with your intent to have fun, you're more likely to have fun even though he isn't. This is powerful stuff because we love you so much, you are knee-jerkers. You have knee-jerk reactions to life, and that holds you in mundane creation. It holds you in less powerful creation. It doesn't let you feel your absolute power. Now, here's another thing. We're going to stay with you for a little while on this conversation until we can feel that you're grasping it. Because this process, you've heard the words before, daydream. Do you remember when you were kids? Before you were responsible, before you felt responsible, before you were resistant, before you were defensive. Some of you can remember those moments in time. Some of them you've been living recently, but it's a little snatch of time where somehow you're not resistant in thought and your mind is just receiving the ingredients of your vortex. They're putting themselves together with the tutelage or tutorialage, with the help of your inner being, who knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you want and knows what the ingredients that you've put into your vortex is. So knows what the path of least resistance is for you to receive a thought. So do you think that you're here to create your own reality? You are. But do you think that the reason that you're here to create your own reality is that when you create your own reality, you will like it better? Well, that's one reason. But it isn't the reality that you are creating that you are here about. It's the thrill of reality creating that you're here about. It's the thrill of lining up with your true power and watching what you desire flow to you through the power of your own focus. It's the journey. Now, you've heard that your whole life. The joy is in the journey. Almost everybody is saying it, and nobody knows even what they mean when they're talking about the joy is in the journey. But we want you to know that what we mean by the joy is in the journey is that you did a lot of the journey when you knew what you didn't want and therefore knew what you did want. And you say, well, that was not all that joyful. And we say, well, it was to your inner being because you were identifying who you are. When someone was rude, you said, I like nicer. When somebody was hateful, you want more love. When somebody is diminished in some way, you want upliftment. When someone is sick, you want well. When someone's confused, you want clarity. When it's you, even more. You've been isolating and identifying, and there is this extraordinary grouping of ingredients that are the making of an ecstatic life experience for you. But you got to find a way to be in the vibrational vicinity of it. Now, we've been telling you this story in lots of different ways. We've been saying to you, step one is you ask. That's the contrast part of it. Know what I don't want. Ask for what I do want, whether you put it in words or not. Step two is that's the source energy part of it. That's your inner being part of it. That's the vortex part of it. That's the gathering of the cooperative components part of it. Step two, when you ask, it is given. It's in vibrational form, and you say, I don't want it to be in vibrational form. I want it to be out where I can see it. I'd like to park it in my garage. I'd like to take it to my bed. I would like to go to the movies with it. I don't want this vibrational reality creation. And we say, but it is that way in the beginning. And so if you will accept that the ingredients are there and that you will be guided, you will be led, you'll be called. You are being guided, you are being led, you are being called to your path of least resistance. But what we're saying to you here today is you've got some whopping resistance going on because you have played the objective game so much that you hardly ever put yourself in a position where you can receive an impulse that's on the path of least resistance and feel the empowerment of your inner being about it. So, as we're moving forward in this day, we'll play some of this with you if you want to. We want this to just not be something that sort of is intellectually satisfying or even something that makes some sense to you if you've been studying the law of attraction. We want it to be something that feels real to you. We want it to be something that you say all day long, as Esther often does, ooh, I've got that magical thing going. Because if you take 10 seconds here and 10 seconds there and 10 seconds here to let yourself dream free, if you will allow yourself to just dream free. Esther's been playing this game. We'll tell you some of it. We'll tell you some of the amazing things that have been happening as a result of it. But here's one really extraordinary manifestation that came about as a result of Esther hearing what we're saying about daydream. And by daydream, we mean you're not asleep. By daydream, we mean you're awake. And by daydream, we mean it hasn't manifested yet. It's still a dream. And by daydream, we mean you're in your day, you're wide awake, but what's in your vortex, which you are still calling a dream, is visualized by you. It's felt by you. It's known by you. You know it even though it hasn't come out to play to you. These thoughts have not yet turned to things where you and everyone else can see them, but they are real and they are unfolding and they will come out and play with you where you will see them. There's power in this, but if you daydream a little and then you kill it with reality, and then you daydream a little and then you kill it with reality, and you daydream a little and then you contradict it with some other fact, then you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you're never allowing the true power of this to culminate into something that manifests. There are people in your world that are doing that. There are masters of science and masters of mathematics and masters of music and masters of all kinds of things. There are inventors of things. There are all kinds of people that have allowed these thoughts to turn to things in their mind, who have been willing to follow that non-resisted path, who have been willing, here it is, to pay the great big price of happiness. We know, we're being sarcastic, it's a lot to ask of you to want to feel good enough that you will isolate some thoughts and allow yourself to be that dreamer. So here we're just going to tell you one of the things that happened to Esther. And as we move forward, if there's time and if we're not full of all what you are asking for, then we'll tell you what Esther's been doing. But we'd rather talk about what you are asking for. But there's so much good stuff going on. So Esther said, Abraham, what do you mean by a daydream? And we said, it's a thought that just occurs to you. And when it does, it's so delicious you don't want to take your attention from it. And when you allow yourself to just softly receive it, this is not a thought you think. This is a thought you receive. This is not you making something happen. This is not you setting goals. This is you receiving clues and ideas and impulses about the goals you've already set. This is about having masters of the universe focusing to you and you being in a place of receiving the thought and it being pleasant while you receive it, and not too long after you knowing that that was a piece and that was a piece and that was a piece and that was a piece, and oh wow, look at this. So Esther went to Nashville for the first time to visit some friends. She bought a Jeep, drove it home. It was so fun. And while she was there, they went to dinner. And on their way to dinner, they saw a building. And her friend said, our friend has been in this building for many, many years. She's sort of like the heart of the community, but she and her husband are moving out of town now, and so she's selling everything in the building. Want to go in? Esther said, yes. So she went in, and there were all kinds of beautiful things. There were crystals for sale and jewelry for sale and artwork of all fashion and all kinds of really beautiful things. And Esther got fixated on, her friend pointed it out to her, and then Esther couldn't take her eyes off of it. It's a painting. A man from Vietnam painted it. The colors are soft and lovely. But it is a painting of a lake, most beautiful soft colors. It's oil, but it's so soft it looks like pastels. And in the sky are two owls. Esther likes owls. And in the lake is a bed, just sitting on the water, with a red bedspread and a woman sitting on it, sitting. And Esther said, she's got to be daydreaming. Nothing else makes sense. If she was dreaming, she'd be laying down. What's that bed doing on the lake anyway? I'm going to frame that, and I'm going to put a little plaque on it, and it's going to say daydream. Now, don't you think that's nice? That Esther would find something. Maybe it's not ringing your bells, but it rang her bells. It rang her bells. What else could this possibly be? This is someone wide awake in the middle of the day, sitting on her bed in the middle of a lake. What do you want to talk about? A lot of trouble in this room. You are so intertwined. All of these lovely people that are intertwining with you. Creation is not even close to what most humans think it is. It's all about doing something about your vibrational point of attraction and then allowing the universal forces to fill in the details. And once you get the hang of this and you start enjoying and complimenting and appreciating the details as they come, then every detail of appreciation that you acknowledge adds to your grid and makes it more firm. So your grid just begins to fill in and fill in and fill in and fill in until it's not just an emotional feeling place for you. It's not some nebulous vortex that some crazy non-physical being is pointing to on the floor. It's the reality that you're living. It's the reality that everyone can see. Everyone can see the clarity of your being, the fun of your being, the prosperity of your being. It becomes evidence to everyone to see. But you gotta not care about doing it so that they will see it or it will trip you up on your way to it. Because most of them aren't going to be able to see it until it's really, really vividly clear. Most people will not see your new car until you're driving it, you see. Most people won't see it until you have manifested it. So if you have to wait around for them to manifest it before you see it, then you are taking way longer than you are wanting or needing to take. Is this making sense to you? But if you're working on your emotional grid and the reward for you is the way that it feels and the manifestation is irrelevant because the manifestation is just going to make you feel good when it comes and you already feel good, now you've taken all of the negative, now you've taken all of the lack, now you've taken all of the absence of everything you want out of the equation. And now you are in sync with your vibrational grid, which is the presence of everything that you want. And when you're in sync with the presence of everything you want must fill in vivid detail. And that's what you came for. You came for the exploration. You came for the new ideas to form within you. Not one of you doubted for a minute that you could be or do or have anything when you made the decision to come. Because your vantage point was this magnificent time-space reality that is burgeoning with constant evolution, and you wanted in on it. And you wanted your point of view to be part of the process of it, you see. And your point of view is part of the process of it. And your joy happens when you consciously recognize the part you've played and get in on the expansion of it consciously. You are creating magnificently, and we are all the beneficiaries of it. We're here visiting with you because it's time you come to the party you planned. It is. It's time you come to the party you planned. It's time that you revel in the fun, and it's time that you rendezvous with the others that have come to the party that they have planned. And what a party it is when you all come bringing your pieces to the party.